So let's move on to the discussion of the cumulative frequency distribution. So what if, as a teacher, a student comes to you and asks, how have I performed? Or specifically, the student wants to know how many in class had lower scores than his or hers. Now, to answer this question for any particular student, you need only the sum of the frequencies for scores below that student's own score. However, you can also perform a procedure that will answer that question for any student in class by constructing a cumulative frequency distribution. As you can see, these are the scores with the previous example that we have. And this is just the simple frequency distribution that we are seeing with an added entry, which is the cumulative frequency distribution column. The same, the X column represents the scores of the students from the statistics class, and F represents the frequencies of the scores as how many they appeared on the data set. Now, in creating a cumulative frequency column, we should always start with the lowest score. Now, in this example, the lowest score is 2. And in the rule, the cumulative frequency entry for the lowest score is just the same as the frequency of that score. So basically, we have a frequency for the raw score 2, which is 1, and we also have the same entry for the cumulative frequency, which is 1. And to move forward with the other entries, as you can see, you are just to add um, this cumulative frequency that we have with the lowest possible score, and then add it with the frequency of the next score. Now, with the raw score 3, this particular score did not appear in the data set. That's why we also have the same cumulative frequency, which is 1. And now, moving forward with 1 as a cumulative frequency for the raw score 3, add it with the frequency of the raw score 4, which is 4. So 4 plus 1 is basically 5. And the same would also apply to the rest of the numbers here in this particular cumulative frequency distribution. So to answer our student's question earlier, so if a student scored about 7 on the quiz, we can look at the entry in the cumulative frequency column for a score of 6 to see that this student performed better than 13 other students. So let me just go back to that response. So if the student has a score of 7, so basically we would know that this score actually is better than 13 other students if we will just look into the cumulative frequency of the next or the lower score from that student's score. So for another example, if a student had gotten a score of 10 and the student wants to know how many students have lower score than he or she has, then we would know that we need to look into the raw score 9 and also for its equivalent cumulative frequency. So we would know that a student who has gotten a 10 score out from the quiz has performed better than 23 other students. Another thing that we need to also remember is that the entry at the top of the cumulative frequency column should be equal to the total number of scores, or n. So as you can see with the raw score 10, the cumulative frequency is 25 because that is the total number of students who took the quiz, which is also equivalent to the formula sigma of the frequencies, or the total number of frequencies, or the letter n, which is equivalent to the total number of scores.